Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the sun is gone. No sunrise, no warmth, no shadow, only a cold, unfamiliar sky hanging over a terrified world. Today's story is not science fiction. It is a real moment in human history, when people believed the sun had vanished and the world might be ending. Stay until the end, because what truly caused the day the sun disappeared may change how you see the sky forever. The sun has always been humanity's most reliable presence. It rises, it sets, it warms the land. Entire civilizations were built on the assumption that the sun would never fail. And yet, there have been days in history when that promise seemed broken. On one such day, people stepped outside expecting morning light, and instead, they found darkness. Not the peaceful darkness of night, but a suffocating, unnatural shadow that arrived without warning. Birds stopped singing, livestock panicked. Church bells rang as people fell to their knees. In towns and villages across vast regions, witnesses described the same impossible sight. The sun was there, but its light was gone. At first, people thought it was a storm, then smoke, then clouds. But this darkness did not move like weather. It didn't drift or clear. It simply hung in the sky, thick, heavy, and terrifying. Midday looked like midnight. Candles were lit at noon. Markets closed, families gathered indoors, whispering prayers and final confessions. Many believed the apocalypse had begun, because in a world without the sun, life itself was unthinkable. Some chroniclers wrote that people could barely see their own hands in front of their faces. Others said the darkness smelled wrong, like burning, sulfur, and fear. And the most chilling detail: this darkness lasted for hours. Not minutes, not moments, but long enough for panic to spread faster than any fire. And this was only the beginning. As the hours passed, fear turned into certainty. To the people living through it, there was only one explanation. God had turned his face away from earth. In deeply religious societies, the sun was not just a star. It was a symbol of divine order. So when the sun vanished, people believed the order of the universe had collapsed. Churches overflowed. Priests delivered emergency sermons. Sins were confessed openly in the streets. Some believed it was punishment. Others believed it was a warning. And a few believed it was simply the end. Historical accounts describe people preparing for death, writing final letters, giving away possessions, embracing loved ones. Children cried. Adults wept silently. No one knew if the sun would ever return. What made the terror worse was the silence. There were no official explanations, no announcements, no understanding of atmospheric science, only rumor. Some claimed the sun had exploded. Others said it had been swallowed by the heavens. A few whispered that demons were devouring the sky. And yet, beneath the fear, something else was happening. Observers began noticing strange details. The stars were not visible, which meant it wasn't true night. The temperature dropped, but not as sharply as expected. And in some places, a faint reddish glow hovered at the horizon. Something was blocking the sun, but what? And how could something powerful enough to darken an entire region exist at all? What people didn't realize was that they were witnessing one of the most mysterious natural events in recorded history. An event so rare, so poorly understood, that even today, it still raises questions. And the truth behind the day the sun disappeared is more unsettling than the fear itself. If you think this was just a storm, what happens next will shock you. In the next segment, we uncover what actually blocked the sun, and why this event terrified scientists centuries later. Don't look away. The darkness is only getting deeper. As fear ruled the streets, a smaller group of people reacted differently. They didn't pray, they didn't panic. They observed. These were scholars, sailors, farmers, and early natural philosophers. People whose lives depended on reading the sky. And what they saw did not match any eclipse they had ever known. A solar eclipse is brief, predictable. It darkens the sky for minutes, not hours. But this darkness lingered. The sun was not swallowed by the moon. There was no sharp shadow racing across the land. No sudden return of light. Instead, the sky looked smothered, as if something vast and invisible had been laid over the world. Even more unsettling were the colors. Witnesses described the sky as brownish yellow copper red, or an eerie gray that felt thick. The sun, when faintly visible, appeared as a dull red disk, like a dying coal behind ash. This was not celestial mechanics. This was atmospheric. But no one at the time had a name for what was happening. Ships at sea reported the same phenomenon. Navigation became nearly impossible. Compasses still worked, but without the sun or stars, sailors felt blind. On land, crops withered in the sudden cold. Animals refused to graze. Milk production dropped. This was no illusion. The darkness was changing the world in real time. And then came another terrifying realization. The darkness wasn't localized. Reports arrived from hundreds, sometimes thousands of kilometers away, all describing the same thing. This wasn't a town-scale disaster. This wasn't regional weather. This was continental. Something had happened on a scale humans had never experienced before. And whatever it was, it didn't originate in the sky. It came from Earth itself. Slowly, centuries later, clues began to surface. The answer did not come from religion or prophecy, but from layers of ash buried deep in the ground. Modern scientists would eventually piece together the truth. The sun did not disappear. It was hidden. Hidden by the aftermath of catastrophic natural events. Massive volcanic eruptions, some so powerful they altered the planet's atmosphere, had launched unimaginable amounts of ash, sulfur, and aerosols into the sky. These particles didn't fall back down quickly. They spread. They circled the globe, forming a veil between Earth and the sun. This veil scattered sunlight, blocked heat, and turned day into darkness. In some historical cases, a single eruption was not enough. Multiple eruptions, combined with massive forest fires, created what scientists now call a volcanic winter. A temporary collapse of sunlight. And here's the chilling part. The people living through it had no warning. Volcanoes erupted hundreds or thousands of kilometers away. The darkness arrived days or weeks later, silently. By the time the sky darkened, it was already too late to escape its effects. Temperatures dropped. Harvests failed. Famine followed. What people believed was divine punishment was actually the planet reacting violently to forces beneath its crust. The Earth itself had rewritten the sky. And the most haunting truth of all, events like this are not ancient myths. They have happened multiple times in recorded history. And they can happen again. In the next segment, we'll uncover the most famous real-world event. When the sun vanished, documented by terrified witnesses, and how close humanity came to global catastrophe. Stay with me, because the darkest day in history may not be behind us. On May 19, 1780, people across New England woke up expecting a normal spring morning. Instead, they were greeted by something deeply wrong. The sun rose, but it brought no light. By mid-morning, the sky darkened so suddenly that candles were lit inside homes. By noon, darkness was nearly total. Chickens returned to their roosts. Frogs began croaking as if night had fallen. Cows stopped grazing and headed back to barns. This was not rumor. This was documented history. Newspapers reported panic across Massachusetts, Connecticut, and parts of New Hampshire. Judges halted court sessions. Schools dismissed students. Some churches filled to capacity as people prepared for the end. One legislator famously refused to adjourn, declaring, "The day of judgment is either approaching or it is not. If it is not, there is no cause for adjournment. If it is, I choose to be found doing my duty." By early afternoon, visibility dropped to near zero. People described the sky as black, not storm dark, but ink. And yet, there was no thunder. No rain, no wind. Just silence and fear. This day would later be remembered simply as the dark day, but the darkness did not disappear quickly. It lingered into the evening, finally lifting after midnight, as mysteriously as it had arrived. No explanation came at the time. And for decades, the event remained a terrifying question mark in American history. It wasn't until centuries later that scientists began to understand what truly happened on that day. By studying tree rings, ice cores, and atmospheric records, researchers found evidence of massive wildfires raging in Canada at the time. These fires, combined with lingering volcanic aerosols from earlier eruptions, had filled the atmosphere with smoke and particulates. The result? A dense atmospheric blanket that blocked sunlight across an entire region. The sun was still there, but its light was scattered, absorbed, and dimmed to near nothing. This explains the strange red color witnesses reported when the sun was faintly visible. It also explains why temperatures dropped but didn't collapse completely. It wasn't night, it was something far stranger. A daytime darkness created by Earth itself. And this discovery revealed something unsettling. Human civilization is incredibly vulnerable to events it cannot see coming. No warning systems, no forecasts, no technology capable of stopping it. If such an event happened today, on a global scale, the consequences would be catastrophic. Modern agriculture, aviation, power grids, and global supply chains all depend on stable sunlight and climate. Take that away, and the world changes overnight. The dark day was not the end of the world. But it was a preview. In the next segment, we'll explore how close humanity has come to experiencing a true global darkness, and what modern science says about the next time the sun might disappear. Stay with us, because the sky still holds secrets we barely understand. The dark day of 1780 was not an isolated anomaly. As scientists continued to study Earth's history, they uncovered a disturbing pattern. Similar events had occurred before and after. In the year 536 AD, chroniclers across Europe and Asia described a mysterious sun without brightness. For over a year, daylight felt dim and cold. Summer temperatures plunged. Crops failed. Famine spread. Modern research now suggests this was caused by one of the largest volcanic events in recorded history. Possibly a series of eruptions that filled the atmosphere with sunlight-blocking aerosols. Historians call it the worst year to be alive. And it wasn't the last time. In 1816, the world experienced the year without a summer. Snow fell in June. Harvests collapsed. Food prices soared. Once again, the cause was volcanic. The eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia. These events reveal a terrifying truth. The sun doesn't have to disappear completely to destroy civilization. It only needs to be dimmed. Today, scientists closely monitor volcanoes capable of producing global-scale effects. They study atmospheric circulation. They model sunlight reduction scenarios. They simulate worst-case outcomes. Because, in a hyper-connected world, even a small drop in global sunlight could trigger cascading failures. Food shortages. Mass migration, economic collapse. The dark day was local. The next one might not be. The day the sun disappeared was not a punishment. It was not prophecy, it was a reminder. A reminder that human civilization exists within a fragile balance, one that can be disrupted by forces far beneath our feet. Volcanoes do not announce themselves. Wildfires do not ask permission. The atmosphere does not care about borders or nations. And yet, humanity survived. We adapted. We recorded. We learned. From fear came knowledge. From darkness came understanding. Today, when the sun rises each morning, we rarely question it. But history teaches us that its light is not guaranteed. And when the sky darkens without warning, panic returns, just as it did centuries ago. The difference now is awareness. We know what can happen. We know why it happens. And we know what's at stake. The sun never truly disappeared. But for one unforgettable day, the world learned what life would feel like without it. Modern civilization runs on a dangerous assumption. That tomorrow will look like today. That the sun will rise, crops will grow, and systems will function as planned. But scientists know better. Today, space agencies and climate researchers actively model scenarios where sunlight is suddenly reduced, not by fantasy, but by real threats. A supervolcanic eruption, a massive asteroid impact, or even widespread nuclear conflict triggering a nuclear winter. In each scenario, the result is chillingly similar. Sunlight decreases. Global temperatures fall. Food production collapses. Studies show that even a 10 to 20% reduction in sunlight could lead to widespread famine within months. Modern agriculture is efficient, but fragile. It depends on stable seasons, predictable sunlight, and global logistics. Remove one element, and the entire system begins to fail. Satellites may still orbit, cities may still stand, but supermarkets would empty. The terrifying part. Humanity might not recognize what's happening until the sky changes, just like before. Just like on the dark day. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it rhymes. And when it does, it often gives no warning. The day the sun disappeared was not the end of humanity. It was a test of fear, of faith, of understanding. People survived not because they understood the science, but because the darkness eventually lifted. The sun returned, life resumed. And slowly, the memory faded. But history preserved the lesson. That the most powerful forces shaping our lives are often invisible. That the sky above us is not a guarantee, but a gift. Every sunrise is a reminder that civilization exists on borrowed certainty. The people who lived through the dark day never forgot the feeling. The silence, the cold. The belief that the world might end before sunset. Today, we look back with knowledge they didn't have. But the sky hasn't changed. Only our understanding has. And as long as the sun rises, humanity will continue to build, explore, and dream. But we must remember, there was once a day when the sun disappeared. If you value stories that reveal how fragile our world truly is, subscribe for more cinematic mini-doc. Like this video to help these stories reach a global audience. And comment below. Do you think modern civilization could survive another dark day?